Pokemon Snap was such a unique idea for a game. Going out and taking pictures of wildlife while using gadgets in the environment to unlock new paths, and even evolve certain Pokemon brought me so much joy in my younger days. The only problem is that game was so short it just barely scratched the surface of its potential. And while I'm excited for the new Pokemon Snap game that was announced earlier this year, I feel like the pinnacle of this creature capture formula has now been reached, by a game that practically came out of nowhere and frankly has no business being as fantastic as it is. What game is it, you say? I'm talking about Bugsnax. Okay, so Bugsnax isn't exactly like Pokemon Snap. You do scan the various animals to learn about them, and they all say their names over and over. But you're not just on the island of Snacktooth for photography. As a journalist following the next big story, you hear of explorer Elizabeth Megafig discovering strange new beasts called Bugsnax that look like combinations of food and insects, who'da thunk, and decide to go see it for yourself. Upon arrival, however, Liz has gone missing, and you get roped into finding her while bringing a settlement of ragtag villagers back together. These grumpuses, as they're called, love to eat Bugsnax, so in the process of solving the mystery, you need to go out and catch as many of the wacky creatures as you can. It's a concept that honestly feels so perfect I'm shocked it hasn't already been made, and to my surprise, there's quite a lot of depth that unfolds the more you play. You see, some of the Bugsnax are much harder to capture than others. You start out with a simple trap to snatch little strabbies as they walk along, but over time you'll gather an array of tools like a guided ball to push Bugsnax out of their hiding holes, and a slingshot to splatter sauces everywhere and lure critters away from safety. They definitely ease you into things, but eventually you'll come across aggressive Bugsnax that'll bash into you, freeze you in a block of ice, or even catch you on fire. The beauty is that you can use some of these attributes to your advantage, as some of the monsters are impossible to grab unless they interact with other Bugsnax, leading to a very satisfying system where your various contraptions can be combined with each other and the world around you to complete your objectives. The desert alone is a perfect example of this. Cheap hoofs never land, so you need to blast your trap up into the air with the launch pad to nab them. But then, to catch a sweet frighter, you have to shoot the trap even further, while also taking the wind into account with your timing. You need a Scorpino's fire shot to pop the Pop-Tick kernels, but be careful, they'll attack your trap as well. And Spuddies attack any threat head-on. So what happens when two of them meet each other? The game is chock full of these types of conundrums and gets really complex near the end. Sometimes enemies are on fire or freezing, so you have to find ways to change their state to be able to touch them. But if you don't act quickly, it might explode into a bunch of smaller snacks once you do. The sense of progression and abilities that are unlocked come at just the right pace, and the various systems are explored to the fullest, which really makes the game's design feel tight and cohesive. And while it may look like the type of game that'll hold your hand all the way through, this couldn't be further from the truth. It kicks off the training wheels right away and lets you explore and solve puzzles on your own. Often you'll have to use cryptic clues you find to discover everything the island is hiding. Not to mention that some Bugsnax only appear at specific times or in certain weather conditions, so you need to analyze the environment and use the notes from your journal in order to find all 100 of them. But what I didn't expect was how much the residents of Snaxburg would fill my heart with glee as I played. The Grumpuses don't really get along, and when Liz disappeared, they decided to move away and live on their own. Filbo was left in charge, but despite his warm and happy demeanor, he is not respected by the rest of the community. So in order to bring everyone home, you need to meet their various needs. Some want Bugsnax for research, some want to keep them as a pet, others, like a failing musician, want them for inspiration, or a bodybuilder just trying to get jacked. Once they do agree to come back, you can interview them to piece together what happened to Lisbeth, and this opens up further areas onto the island, leading to more fancy gadgets and people that need your assistance. And by the end of the game, I enjoyed all of their unique personalities and found everyone lovable in their own way. So working through each other's issues and helping them see the good in their fellow grumps is a really gratifying experience. Breaking past Beffica's snotty attitude and discussing her insecurities was a much harder hitting moment of introspection than I was ready for. Dang, is there a Bugsnax that stops you from crying? It's also worth noting that this game has fantastic representation without being heavy-handed about it. It was actually pretty refreshing how nonchalant their relationships are. I mean, Chandlo and Snorpy are goals, guys. I did not go into Bugsnax thinking I would love it as much as I did. It looks a little too kiddie for my taste, and I really only picked it up because of the recommendations from friends. But as it turns out, it's easily a Game of the Year contender for me, and I ended up completing it 100%. Finding each way to catch all the Bugsnax and finishing all the side quests was a delight through and through. In fact, you gotta do all the extra tasks people want done, because it eventually takes you to optional boss fights against legendary Bugsnax. And these were easily my favorite parts of the entire adventure. It's got clever gameplay for days, but touts a heartwarming story as the cherry on top. So sorry Nintendo, no need to make a new Pokemon Snap, I've already had my fill. And if you'll excuse me, I think I'm gonna go back for seconds. I'll see you guys next time. Stay frosty, my friends.